Hey guys! So today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on stage makeup. So performance season is among us, so I thought let's make a video on how to do just basic, simple stage makeup. So I have my sister Hannah here today. Hi! She has been, in the dance world more recently than I have, so we're going to use her face to help me with this. So this is just a basic stage makeup look. This isn't extravagant or character specific. If you're performing, this is the basics of what you can do. You are definitely going to need to adjust things to your specific studio, but I kind of tried to make it as neutral. Everybody can use it and it'll hopefully match with what your studio wants. Before we get started, there are a couple things I wanted to talk about. You're going to want to stay away from super bright colors. You're going to want neutral colors. For sure, don't go for blues. No. Weirdly enough, that's a very popular color for people to do, but I would not recommend it. So try to stick towards neutral colors unless your character specifically needs a different color. So browns, golds, that kind of thing. It's anything neutral. Oh, and there is that. It is not good to share, especially eye makeup, with friends. And if you are, I at least recommend sanitizing it. So as much as possible, try and use and bring your own makeup, even to the performance. Bring things you'll need for touch-ups, especially things like eyeliner and mascara, because you do not want to share mascara for sure. So, face makeup. We did Hannah's before we started this video. She just did it like normal, foundation, concealer. We'll talk about that more later in the video, but if you want to do that before you do your eye makeup, do that now. If not, you can do your eye makeup first and then your foundation, because that is something I personally liked to do a lot when I was doing stage makeup, because if I messed up, it was easier just to wipe it away and then do my face makeup versus having to try and fix it when you already have makeup on your skin. And the second thing I want to talk about is, so if you're wanting to do fake eyelashes, or if your studio requires fake eyelashes, a tip is to do your eyelashes before you do your eyeshadow, because the glue is meant to stick to skin, not to makeup. So they're going to stay on longer if you don't put them on top of eyeshadow, but if you put them on first. But it actually makes it so much easier. You don't want your eyelashes to be too big and caterpillary. You want to accentuate your eyelashes and make your eyes look bigger without just looking like big clumps on your eyes. So make sure to find ones that you like, and you can always cut them and adjust them to your eyes before you put them on. I'm personally not doing that in this video, but if you want a tutorial on how to use them, let me know. So that's everything, so let's just get started. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take an eyeshadow primer so that it makes the color show up better, and so that it'll last, because when you're sweating, it's not going to last very well. So my personal favorite is the Urban Decay one, but really just anything you have, or your normal makeup primer or concealer will also work. We're going to take a light white color and just put it all over the lid so that everything starts out smooth and light, because you want it to show up and be darker than your normal makeup, but you don't want it to actually be dark. The point is to make your eyes stand out, not to be dark. And I think what many people think with stage makeup is you want it to be as dark and as black as possible, which isn't true. Okay, and then we're going to take a light brown shade and just put it in the crease. So windshield wipers is how I learned it, and you just go back and forth. So next we're going to take a packing brush, is what it's technically called, but it's just this flat little brush here. We're going to take a little bit of this color here, Glam. It's not completely matte, but it's also not straight sparkles. So you just put that in the inner corner mostly and drag it out towards the middle of your eye. Okay, so you have that shade just mostly on the inner corner, about halfway in towards your eye. And then now we're going to start getting a little bit darker. You don't want to go super duper dark, but you want it to have dimension and not just be one light color everywhere. I think I'm probably going to mix this one and this one. And we're going to take that on the tip of the brush instead of the side and do the outer V. So to do that, we start from the crease and halfway through and do a line. Okay, and then we're going to go on the bottom and do the same thing. So they meet together in the corner as a V. And we're going to do the same thing on the other eye. Okay, after you have just the outline of the V, we're going to go back to a fluffy brush. And we're just gonna blend it because we don't want to leave it in that V. That V is just the shape to get the color where you want it. With this, you're gonna want to do the windshield up here a little bit, but what you're mainly gonna want to do is little circles. So basically move the brush in tiny circles around the dark color so that way it doesn't spread everywhere, and get it all over your face. This way it gets blended out. Do this for a few minutes because you want it to be very blended. And you can always go in with more, so less is more, because if you put on too much you can't really take it off. So like I started with a little bit, and I'm actually gonna add a little bit more. After you kind of get the amount of color you want on, I like to swirl the brush around on my hand to get any extra product off, so then I can just keep blending without worrying about getting the brown anywhere else. At this point, I'm just gonna start blending it all together instead of just the outer corner stuff. And it helps if you open and close your eyes, because it's gonna look different with your eyes open and it's gonna look with them closed. So don't just keep your eyes closed the whole time and then expect it to be perfect. So at this point, if you haven't already done any face makeup, you could do this now. You can start with your eyes, which is what I usually did, so that if you get any fallout, you can just put your foundation on and not worry about it. But if you would rather do your face makeup before you do your eyes, you could always put a little bit of concealer underneath your eyes again after you do the eyeshadow. Let's talk about that for a minute. So foundation, if you are going to, you want to make sure and use primer and everything so that it stays and doesn't rub off on costumes. But if you don't want to use actual foundation, I would say at least use a powder, because it'll help keep you matte and kind of smooth everything out. Even if you don't want a full face of foundation, I would say I would at least do powder. And I personally would do foundation.
Foundation can also be good because it makes everybody look more uniform.
Yes. So foundation is also good because it makes everybody look more uniformed. So like if one person is wearing it and one person isn't, it looks a little bit more different. Obviously not everyone's skin is going to look the same, but if you can keep it all looking as uniformed as possible, that will help. Hence why I would at least recommend a powder. But yeah, I would say anyone I knew always wore foundation, so I'd say that's probably your best bet. Just find a good one. What's your favorite one for dance?
I used the Tarte Shape Tape Matte one. That one's been good for dance. And then I also like the peach one, a Mariel Twins one.
So her favorite ones right now are the Too Faced Peach Perfect and the Tarte Shape Tape Matte. What's good about the Tarte Shape Tape Matte is that one is technically waterproof, so I feel like that's a good one to, you know, stick with. My personal favorites probably are the Rare Beauty and the Color Science. The Color Science Whipped Foundation is good because it's also technically waterproof, so it would help it last longer. The Rare Beauty is nice. I actually find it this long lasting even though it's not waterproof, but I will say I have not tried dancing in this one. So those are some recommendations. I will link them if you're looking for them. Okay, so next up, since we're got a good chunk at least of her eyeshadow done, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of concealer underneath her eyes just to clean it up a tiny bit because Hannah already has face makeup on. So if you haven't done your face makeup yet, do that at this step, or if you have done your face makeup yet, you can just add some concealer. The concealer I'm using is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This concealer is like one of the #1 concealers, but I think it depends on your skin because I personally cannot use the Tarte Shape Tape.
And that concealer is my favorite concealer ever.
So I can't use it at all, and it's her all-time favorite. So there's kind of a trial and error, I think. I typically like the Urban Decay All-Nighter Concealer or the Rare Beauty. So now that we've got her cleaned up underneath a little bit, we can make sure the eyeshadow is how you're liking it at this stage. Okay, so this is kind of what we have so far. So at this point, you can start adding anything else that you would want to change it. But what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna take a really white light shade. Yeah, so I'm gonna take this one right here. It's this really white light shade. This is my favorite white eyeshadow I've ever used. It's the shade Pearl in the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Volume 2. Right here. In the corner of her eye on each side. This will really brighten up your eyes, and I personally think it looks really pretty. Like, this is something I do in my everyday makeup. We're gonna take the same one, and in the very center of her eyelid, we're gonna dab a tiny bit. So what that does is it helps open up your eyes so that they look bigger. So just putting a really light color in the very center of everything will do that. It also kind of helps the other two colors you have there blend in together. And then, you guessed it, we're gonna blend again. So what I'm going to move on to next is eyeliner. So a very big tip I would recommend is putting white eyeliner in your waterline. This will also help your eyes open up and look bigger and brighter and more awake. This definitely takes practice. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes really easy, and I actually really like the way it looks. Okay, and next is eyeliner. So this will definitely change depending on your studio. So I know a couple years our studio required us to do winged eyeliner, and other years they didn't. So you're definitely going to want to check with your studio and see what their rules are. So I'm going to show you how to do winged eyeliner here. If you want a more in-depth tutorial, I actually have a tutorial here, but I'm just going to do an easy sped up one. And if you're just doing normal eyeliner, just do normal eyeliner. Like, just line it across your lid and don't do the wing. So I typically like using liquid eyeliner. I find it a lot easier. And if you're using liquid eyeliner, make sure to shake it really well before you use it. And sometimes I will dab a little bit on my hand just to make sure it's working correctly. I typically like to start in the middle of the eye and just stamp it right across the eyelid a couple times until you get to the end. So it's kind of just a messy stamp. And then I go back and I smooth it all out. And once you get the eye lined like normal, you're going to do the wing. So what I usually like to do is I put the pen where I want the wing to end, and I drag it in towards the eye. And then I go back to that original point and I diagonal it out a little bit to make a triangle and bring that into the eye. You kind of can just fix it up however you want to. Then we're going to do the other side. That is the hardest part, is making them even. Sometimes when I'm doing it on myself, I find it easier to switch back and forth between steps. So like I'll line it and then I'll line it, and I'll do the 1V, then I'll do the triangle on each eye. That helps them to be a little bit more even sometimes, I feel like. And then for the lower lash line, you can use real eyeliner, or if you don't want it to be that dark, sometimes I'll just use an eyeshadow. So I'm just going to take this dark brown eyeshadow here, and I'm going to line underneath her eye. I'm just going to go halfway. So I'll just line it like normal, and then I'll smudge it a little bit with my finger so it's not as harsh. This way it accentuates your eyes without just being like a liquid eyeliner on top and bottom. You can also do black or brown, it doesn't really matter. Once you have mascara and stuff on, you won't really see it. Something that I used to do and that I would actually recommend doing is doing it with really bright light, because then you kind of get the effect of what you would look like on stage. Because if you get just like normal room light, you're gonna think, oh my goodness, this looks like so much, and then you get out in either natural light or stage light and you're like, I don't look like I'm wearing any makeup. I personally do that like every day. But for example, right now I have a ring light we're sitting in front of, so it's kind of shining on our faces really bright. Not really bright, don't hurt your eyes, but it's enough light that it gives the illusion a little bit more than it would if we were just in my dark orange bedroom. Okay, so now we're going to let the eyeliner dry. Very, very important step. There is way too many times where I have been in a rush to move on, and so I don't let it dry and then I smear it. Don't do that. It takes less time to wait. We're gonna do brows. You don't necessarily have to do something with your brows. It's probably a good idea just to do a little bit so that you have a little bit of color, because for me personally, I'm blonde, which means if I don't do anything to my eyebrows, I don't have eyebrows. So I usually just use a tinted gel. But even if you're not putting color on your eyebrows, you for sure want to use a gel, because if you're dancing, running around, costume changes, you're gonna get them messed up. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen, including on myself, you change and all of a sudden your eyebrows are doing this, which isn't exactly what you want. So even if you're not adding color to them, at least do brow gel. This might be enough on its own, but sometimes when I want mine to really stay put, I don't like putting more of this on because it makes them super dark. So what I'll do is I'll put this on and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll put a clear gel over, especially the tail of it, so that it doesn't move around, but that way I don't end up with like brown eyebrows because I put so much color on them. And after I run this through, I will then take a spoolie and just kind of brush it, because sometimes it gets a little clumpy color in places, and this will just fix it. And I'm also going to take a spoolie and brush out her eyelashes just to make sure there's no makeup in them already and that they're all floofed out, because sometimes even when you wash your face or put eye drops in, they'll clump together and then the mascara gets clumpy and we don't want that. Okay, so next we're going to do mascara. So if you are doing fake eyelashes, if you are not doing fake eyelashes, you want to put a coat of mascara on first. So we're not personally going to be doing fake eyelashes today, so we're just going to put a little bit of mascara on. So if you're going to be wearing mascara, I would recommend waterproof, because, you know, obviously sweating, dancing, changing, any of it, it'll just help it last longer. Okay, and now for blush. You are going to want to put a little bit of extra blush than you would just for typical everyday, because again, it's going to wash you out if you don't, but you also don't want to do too much. If you're going to do translucent setting powder, I recommend putting blush on first because it'll help blend it in together. So you want to find that line between enough so that you don't look white and washed out, and between where you look flushed.
Start with less.
Start with less and add more if you need it. So I'm going to get a little bit. This is just a blush book. I'm using this color. Whoop. Right here. It's Love You Like a Sister, which is, you know, sister. So what I always do before I put blush on is I take the brush and I tap it on my hand. That way, if there's extra chunks of it or if there's a ton of blush, I don't smack it in the middle of my face. Made that mistake way too many times. So then what you're going to do, start on the apples of your cheeks and use upward strokes. So just do a swipe and then go back and fix it. So highlighter is a tricky one because, again, you don't want to look sweaty. You pretty much want to be matte. I know people that won't go near highlighter when they're performing. It's no, 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 no highlighter. And then I know people that won't perform without it. So you gotta be careful with it and it'll look good. So just use a little bit. So I'm gonna take a little tiny bit on a fan brush and just lightly dust it. And again, this is before powder, so then once you put the powder on, it'll take it away even more, but this way you just get a little bit. So just do a little bit on cheekbones and the nose, the chin, and then I'm taking it on my finger and I'm putting it underneath her brow bone. Okay, so before you do powder, you can also do bronzer or contouring. I'm personally not doing that. I've actually never done that per performance, but I know people who have, especially depending on if you're playing a character. But if you don't know how to do it, I would say don't do it, otherwise you're just gonna look all muddy. But if you want to learn, or if it's required, or if it's for your character, I would recommend practicing a lot before. I usually practice my makeup at least a week in advance, a couple times before performance day, so that everything runs smoothly. And you also want to make sure you have enough powder to keep you matte, and that is something I recommend keeping with you. So like if we're talking what you need to bring for touch-ups, lipstick, chapstick, something, powder,
concealer,
yeah, for sure, lip stuff, eyelash glue, or mascara, and sometimes I'll just keep like a mini eyeshadow palette so in case I like rub something off, I can fix it.
Also blush. Even with all sorts of powders and setting sprays and everything, it always comes off.
Blush does not last, there's that too. This is the best lasting blush I've ever used. It's the Tarte, but it's still, blush for some reason likes to disappear. So lips. This is one you also want to have stay on really, really well because you're drinking and costume changes, and we had a rule at our studio that you had to have like matte lip paint because you don't want to get it on costumes because that does not come out. So if you want a lip paint or a lip stain or something just completely matte that will not move. And if it is not that, you can try putting, so what you're going to do is you're going to put the lipstick on and you're going to blot it with like a Kleenex paper towel or something, and then take translucent powder and pat that over it, and that'll help it last longer. It's not as good as a lip stain, but if you're like in a bunch, it'll do. So some of my favorites are the Tarte lip paint. You want to make sure and get the matte one because the glossy one is not a paint. So this will, if you let it dry completely, it'll stay and it will not move all day. I've worn this to concerts, to dance performances. I've worn this for things like Thanksgiving where you're eating and it does not move. So I recommend this one. And I also recommend the Sugar Rush Sugar Coat. This kind of does the same thing, where it just leaves it and it won't budge or move if you let it dry. So here's the trick. You don't want anything on your lips before you start, because if you have chapstick, this isn't going to soak into your lips and make it stay. And I also recommend using a lip scrub to get off any of the dead skin before you do this. Otherwise, you're going to feel really chapped and gross all day, and the lipstick won't go on as well. So today I'm going to be using the Sugar Rush Sugar Coat lipstick. This is the color Cupcake. And what you want to do is you want to go a shade or two darker than your natural skin tone. This is about that for Hannah. So just put that on her lips. So you want to be very careful with these, because once these are on, they will not come off. So if you get them on your skin, it's going to be stuck on your skin. You can also use lip liner. A lot of these work like a lip liner, especially the Tarte matte lipstick. But if you want to use actual lip liner, you can as well. That will help with it not bleeding out onto your skin. And what's cool about these is once they're dry and they're set. So you can actually put chapstick on over these when it's completely dry and throughout the day and stuff, and it won't move. So the chapstick will come off, but your lips will stay the same color, which is really, really nice, because I always had super duper dry lips. So I could put my clear chapstick on over this, and it wouldn't get on anything. But then I would still have the color and the soft lips, because as much as we all hate to admit it, matte lipstick dries you out like crazy. So the final step is setting spray, because you need setting spray. The first time I actually started using setting spray was for dance performances. But you're definitely going to want to use this, and there are so many different good ones. My personal favorite is the Tarte Maracuja Miracle Mist. This is supposedly waterproof. I've never actually tested it, but it does last really well. What is your personal
favorite? My favorite is the Urban Decay one. I'm not fully sure the official name.
Her favorite is the Urban Decay All Nighter. This is pretty much everyone in my old studio used this. This was like popular. Everyone had their own bottle and was sharing bottles and stuff. It was actually hilarious. And this one is really good too. You don't need very much. I've learned the way that if you spray too much, it also causes issues, and only touch up as needed. So like I wouldn't touch it between every dance. I would usually kind of try and touch up if like we had intermission, and then I would spray it again. That was it. So follow the directions for sure. So like the Urban Decay All Nighter, for example. After applying makeup, shake bottle well, hold 8 to 10 inches away, and mist face 2 to 4 times in an X and T formation. 2 to 4 times. You don't want to 2 to 4 times. That's 2. And then we're gonna do the X and the T formation, like the bottle says, since we want it to last longer. So that would be the X is this way, and then the T will make sure to get your forehead and down the center of your face, because you kind of miss that if you sprayed an X. I don't like spraying this on other people. It's awkward. That'll help it last. I know it's dumb. Like, why would a spray make my face last longer? But it does. It also helps if you do the same thing after you put primer on before you put your makeup on. So put your primer on, spray your face, then do all your makeup, spray your face. That helps. I don't know why. Some sprays actually will specify primer and setting mist. So this is a real thing. This isn't just something I do. But yeah, that is the final look.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching.
You said just thanks.
Oopsies. I hope that this was helpful and that I made it easy enough to explain. It's kind of hard to explain, and it's definitely something that takes a lot of practice. So I recommend practicing as much as you can. We're also going to be posting a performance hair bun tutorial. I'm not sure which video will be up first. I think probably the hair one. So if you have not seen that already, go watch it. I will link it somewhere. And yeah, let me know if this helped. And do you have any tips to add?
Oh, it's a really good idea if you're able to practice your stage makeup look for studio dress rehearsals, or just dress rehearsals in general, or even just a practice dance day, and ask your teachers about it to see if it's according to studio standards.
Or at least show up with the makeup on before it's finalized. Because you want to be able to ask your teachers, hey, does this look okay? Do I need to change this? Is this in not dress code, but basically dress code?
Yeah. It also can help your teacher then, while you're there, modify and tell you exactly what you need.
Yeah,
and
she'll
also
tell
help
you
show
how to
the
fix.
class what she's looking for.
Yeah, that's happened
Or-
before. Well, then the teachers will see makeup or other people's makeup and be like, okay, so this is what we need to do. I know I originally said to do it like this, but now we're gonna change it, kind of thing. That's happened before. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you liked it, and I hope that it helped. If you did like it, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe. It's free. And then you get more tips and fun videos like this. Ring the notification bell to get notified every time I upload, and let me know any other videos you want to see. Or if there's videos you want to see us do, let me know. To see more videos from me, click over here. And I think that's about it. If you are performing this year, good luck and stay safe, and I hope you have fun. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
I hope you all have a magical Monday. Bye.
Bye.